Lesson 2, Relationships Vocabulary. Do you see your friends very often? Yes, we meet up most weekends. We all get on really well and have a lot in common, so we're always happy doing the same things and going to the same places. What do you like about your close friends? I think we enjoy each other's company. We see eye to eye on most things, so we rarely fall out with each other. Have you known each other long? Most of them, yes. Although my closest friend Carrie, we struck up a relationship at college and got on like a house on fire. But yes, my other friendships go back years to when we were at school. I'd like to talk about my boyfriend, Jose. We got to know each other at university almost 4 years ago. We were in the same department. Initially, we were just good friends and used to go out in a group with our other friends. When Jose went back to Spain for the holidays, we would keep in touch with each other. Then one year, he invited me to come to Spain with him. And that's when we fell for each other, I think. So you couldn't really say it was love at first sight, as it had been over a year since we'd met. But we really hit it off, and by the time we got back to university in September, we were able to tell all our friends that we were in a relationship. What do I like about Jose? Well, he's very kind, very funny, and very supportive. And we're really well matched in our interests. He hasn't popped the question yet, though. We've talked about getting married, and I think we're both ready to settle down and have children. We'll just have to wait and see. Do you think marriage is still as important as ever? Yes, it certainly is in my country. I think the problem for some people is a lack of commitment. All relationships have their ups and downs, but some people prefer to break up rather than working at the relationship. What do you think is the ideal time to get married? Personally, I think you should wait until you've found yourself first, decided if you want a career, perhaps do some traveling. You should do this before tying the knot. Although, if you fall head over heels in love, plans like these can easily be forgotten. Is it important to keep in contact with our friends when we're in a relationship? Absolutely. It's so easy to drift apart from your friends when you fall in love, but I think both partners should try not to lose touch with their friends. That's the best way to have a healthy relationship with your partner. To get on well with, to understand someone and enjoy similar interests, to have a lot in common, to share similar interests, to enjoy someone's company, to like spending time with someone, to see eye to eye, to agree on a subject, to fall out with, to have a disagreement and stop being friends, to strike up a relationship, to begin a friendship, to get on like a house on fire, to like someone's company very much indeed, to go back years, to have known someone for a long time, to get to know, to begin to know someone, to be just good friends, to not be romantically involved, to keep in touch with, to keep in contact with, to fall for, to fall in love. Love at first sight, to fall in love immediately when you meet someone. To hit it off, to quickly become good friends with. To be in a relationship, to be romantically involved with someone. To be well matched, to be similar to pop the question, to ask someone to marry you, to settle down, to give up the single life and start a family, to have ups and downs, to have good and bad times, to break up, to end a romantic relationship, to work at a relationship, to try to maintain a positive relationship with someone, to tie the knot, to get married, to fall head over heels in love, to start to love someone a lot, to drift apart, to become less close to someone, to fall in love, to be very attracted to someone and begin to love them, to lose touch with, to not see or hear from someone any longer. A healthy relationship, a good, positive relationship. Lesson 3, Technology Vocabulary. Do you enjoy using technology? Well, I wouldn't call myself a techie or a computer buff, but I enjoy using computers. I'd like to find out more about how they work. When my computer crashes, I never know what to do. Do you use the internet for your studies? Yes, I'd be lost without it. I do lots of video conferencing to practice speaking, and social media like Facebook is a good way to meet up with other students. And I download podcasts that teach English vocabulary and grammar. Do you have your own computer? Yes, I have a MacBook Pro. I use it all the time for word processing, browsing websites, and catching up with TV programs I've missed. I don't have many gadgets, just a computer, a laptop, and my mobile phone, but I'll talk about my computer as it's so useful. It's funny, really. 2 years ago, I was still learning to use computers, how to use email, send attachments, how to access websites. Then I decided to do a digital editing course for video and photography, and so I bought the laptop when I started the course. My husband had a desktop PC, but it was very slow, so I decided to upgrade to a powerful one because we do a lot of video editing on the course. It's a high-spec laptop, very fast, the latest operating system. It boots up really quickly, and it's fun to use, so it makes working a pleasure. I've become a competent computer user now. If I didn't have it, I dare say I'd have to spend more time at college using their computers. But on the positive side, I suppose I'd read a lot more if I didn't have it. I probably waste a lot of time surfing the web, but hopefully I won't have to be without it. What do you think are the important things people need to learn when they start using computers? Well, there are things like how to use the internet, how to enter a web address, how to navigate websites, that kind of thing. But it's also important to know how to back up your files in case your computer crashes, and all about internet security. What kind of technological developments have made the biggest impact on our lives? In my lifetime, it has to be the internet, of course. But I also think Wi-Fi has made a huge difference to how we interact with the internet. Wireless networks at home and public Wi-Fi hotspots mean we can go online easily, access our mail, log into our work intranet, and basically be connected wherever we are. Do computers make it much easier to study? Definitely yes. Researching information is much easier with the internet. You can bookmark web pages for future reference, and writing essays is much easier. Being able to cut and paste sections of text means you can experiment with organization. So yes, compared to years ago when you had a pile of books on your desk and a pen and paper, it's now much easier. A techie, somebody who has an interest in technology. A computer buff, an expert computer user. A computer crash, the computer itself stops working or that a program aborts unexpectedly. Video conferencing, to see and hear people from different locations using the internet. Social media, media used to interact with other people such as Facebook or Twitter. Download podcasts, to save a copy of a file from the internet to your own device. Word processing, producing written texts on a computer. To browse websites, to look at websites. A gadget, a technological tool like a mobile phone or a camera. Send an attachment. Send an email with an accompanying file. To access websites or email. To locate. Digital editing. To edit digital materials like audio or video files. A desktop PC. A computer that isn't portable and remains in situ on a desk. To upgrade, to obtain a more powerful or feature-rich computer or piece of software. High-spec laptop, powerful computer with top-quality components. Operating system, the software that tells the computer how to work. To boot up, to start a computer. To surf the web, to look at a series of websites, one after the other. to enter a web address, to type the address of a website into the address bar of your browser, to navigate a website, to find your way around a website, to back up files, to make a copy of files in case of a computer problem, internet security, internet safety, wireless network, a network where users can access the internet without the use of fixed cables, Wi-Fi hotspot, a public place where you can access the internet, to go online, to start using the internet, to access websites or email, to locate, to bookmark a web page, to mark a web page for future reference, to cut and paste, to move text or images from one place in a document to another place. Lesson 4, Sports Vocabulary. Do you do any sports? Not really, no. I always say I'm going to take up exercise and try to get into shape, but I never seem to get started. I sometimes wonder whether I should get a personal trainer, someone who will sort out a fitness program for me and make me train hard. How do you spend a typical weekend? I'm a big football fan, and weekends always center around a football match. I support FC Utrecht and have a season ticket, so I go to most of the home games and quite a few of the away games too. I'm really looking forward to the new football season starting soon. Have you got any hobbies or interests? Yes, I'm really keen on sports. I do judo once a week and play tennis in the summer. I think it's really important to keep fit. It makes you feel good and energized for work and your studies. I'd like to talk about my local sports center. It's a place I spend a lot of time in. It's a new building with all the latest sports facilities. I probably go there at least twice a week, sometimes more often. It's a huge place. There's an outdoor athletics track and some football pitches. I play football, so I'm often out there. There are several indoor squash and tennis courts that I use occasionally, a big swimming pool, although I don't use that very often. I'm not a very strong swimmer. There's a gym, lots of things really. Why do I enjoy going there? It's just a really fun place to be. There's a good social side to it all. You can enter competitions, meet up with other people who want to do the same sports, and because there are so many activities on offer, it gets you interested in different things. For example, I was listening to some people talking about training to run the marathon, and I've decided I might even think about that. I go jogging a couple of times a week, so it would give me something to aim for. So yes, the sports center, that's the place I really like to visit. Should people be encouraged more to take up sport? I think young people should be given the chance to discover which sport they might like. Watching sport is sometimes a good way to get people started. Not on TV, but actually getting out. Take athletics, for example. They could go to an athletics meeting. There are so many different sports on show, one might interest them. Why do some people enjoy participating in sport more than others? That's a good question. I suppose some people are more concerned about their health. They can't stand the thought of being out of condition. Other people might be driven to excel. They want to set records or get personal bests. Which sports do you think are best for people who aren't used to physical activity? Well, I think people like this should avoid strenuous exercise, so things like circuit training are definitely out of the question. Maybe just doing a brisk walk every day, or swimming is always a good way to get started. To take up exercise, to start doing exercise, to get into shape, to become fit. A personal trainer, a sports coach that helps you on a one-to-one basis. A fitness program, a schedule of activities to keep fit. To train hard, to train with a lot of effort. A football fan, someone who likes football. A football match, a game of football. A season ticket, a ticket that gives you entry to most of a team's home games during the sporting year. A home game, a football match played in the team's own stadium. An away game, A football match played in the opposing team's stadium. A football season. A period in the year when football is played. To keep fit. To stay in good physical condition. A sports center. A public building where people can do various sports. Sports facilities. The equipment and services needed to do a sport. An athletics track. A running track. A football pitch. The surface on which you play football, as opposed to a stadium, which is the building. A squash, tennis, badminton court. The surface where you play these sports. A swimming pool. The place where you swim. A strong swimmer. A good swimmer. To run the marathon. To run a distance of 42.195 kilometers. To go jogging. To run around the streets. An athletics meeting. An event where various athletics sports are held. To be out of condition. To not be physically fit. To set a record. To achieve the best result in a sport. A personal best. To achieve the best personal result so far in a sport. Strenuous exercise. Exercise that needs a lot of physical effort. A brisk walk. A fast walk. Lesson 5. Food vocabulary. Do you like to cook? Not really, no. Most of the time I eat ready meals and takeaways. That's one of the reasons I love visiting my mom. You can always guarantee lovely home-cooked food. What time do you usually eat dinner? We have our main meal around 7. I'm usually starving hungry by then. In fact, I often grab a bite to eat as soon as I get home from college, a sandwich perhaps, but not too much to spoil my appetite. Are there any types of food you don't like? No, not really. I'm not a fussy eater at all. Actually, I eat like a horse. I do a lot of sport and work up quite an appetite. Okay, this is a nice topic to talk about. There's a restaurant just around the corner from where I live. It's an Italian restaurant, so as you'd expect, you can eat various pasta dishes and pizzas, and I usually go there with my family for a slap-up meal if we have anything to celebrate. It's quite a posh restaurant, the kind of place you would take someone if you wanted to wine and dine them. We usually order a 3-course meal, a light starter, then a main dish. And I have quite a sweet tooth, so I always look forward to the dessert. I usually order tiramisu. It makes my mouth water just to think about it. I'm always totally full up by the end. Why do I enjoy it there? Well, it's not cheap. My parents always foot the bill, and we couldn't afford to go there regularly, so it's always a nice treat. How can we encourage people to eat more healthily? I think the best approach is to have everything in moderation. Processed food won't kill you if you only eat it occasionally, but people should also be encouraged to eat a balanced diet. Try to cook fresh ingredients at home a few times a week. Do you think people enjoy their food as much as they should? I don't know, really. I suppose it's true that people will often eat a quick snack because they're bored, not because they're dying of hunger, and often they just bolt it down and don't savor it. So yes, perhaps we could take more time over our food. Do you think cooking is a pleasure or a chore for people who have busy lives? Well, whether you follow a recipe or make something up as you go along, I think cooking is a very creative process. And cooking for other people is a particular pleasure. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing people you love tucking into something you've cooked yourself. A ready meal. See processed food. A takeaway. A cooked meal prepared in a restaurant and eaten at home. Home-cooked food. Food cooked at home from individual ingredients. The main meal. The most important meal of the day, usually eaten in the evening. To be starving hungry. An exaggerated way of saying you are very hungry. To grab a bite to eat. To eat something quickly when you're in a rush. To spoil your appetite. To eat something that will stop you feeling hungry when it's mealtime. A fussy eater. Somebody who has their own very high standards about what to eat. To eat like a horse, to eat a lot, to work up an appetite, to do physical work that leads to you becoming hungry. A slap-up meal, a large meal. To wine and dine, to entertain someone by treating them to food and drink. A 3-course meal, a meal that consists of 3 parts served one after the other. To have a sweet tooth, to enjoy sugary food, to make your mouth water, to make you feel very hungry for something, to be full up, to eat to the point that you can no longer eat anymore, to foot the bill, to pay the bill. Processed food, commercially prepared food bought for convenience. To eat a balanced diet, to eat the correct types and amounts of food. A quick snack, to eat a small amount of food between meals. To be dying of hunger, an exaggerated way of saying you are hungry. To follow a recipe, to cook a meal using instructions. To tuck into, to eat something with pleasure. Lesson 6, Education Vocabulary. Are you studying English at a school? Yes, I'm taking an intensive course at a local private language school. I attend classes 3 times a week. Would you say you are a good student? I'm okay, I think. I'm pretty good at meeting deadlines, and I'm keeping up with my studies. Plus, I find it quite easy to learn things by heart, which is useful when learning a language. When you were younger, did you enjoy your time at school? Yes. I liked school. It was an ordinary state school, nothing special, a single-sex school, which I'm not sure I liked, but the teachers were great. I had lots of friends, and I never played truant like some pupils there. I'd like to tell you about my time at university. I was a mature student. I didn't go to university until I was 25, and it was my first time away from my parents, so it was very exciting. I was doing a bachelor's degree, and it was a bit of a challenge. Some people take a year out, but I'd been away from education for 8 years. Plus, I had to work my way through university, so I was very busy. And sitting exams at the end of each year was a new experience for me as well. But I really enjoyed higher education, learning about a subject I loved, history, and the social life was great as well. I don't think I've ever had so many friends. I had my graduation ceremony last year in the local cathedral, and I know my parents were really proud. So yes, that was a really happy time. I'm thinking of doing a master's degree soon, though that might be through distance learning as I have a full-time job now. What qualities do you think a good teacher has? They should be patient. They should be subject specialists and be able to explain the subject clearly. They should give feedback quickly. For example, not hang on to an essay for ages, like some of my teachers. What are the advantages of studying on a distance learning course? It's a more flexible way of studying, especially if you have a job. Tuition fees are usually cheaper, but you have to be very motivated. And I would imagine more people fall behind with their studies compared to face-to-face classes. Do all children get equal opportunities in education? In my country, I think it is quite equal. But in the UK, I've heard that most people who go to the top universities have studied at private schools. You have to be very rich to study in a school like that. They're usually boarding schools as well, so the fees are enormous. An intensive course, a course that offers lots of training in order to reach a goal in as short a time as possible. Private language school, an independent school run as a business concern. To attend classes, to go to classes. To meet a deadline, to finish a job or task in the time allowed or agreed. To keep up with your studies, to not fall behind. To learn something by heart, to memorize it. State school, a school paid for by public funds and available to the general public. A single-sex school, a school where only boys or girls attend, as opposed to a mixed-sex school. To play truant, to stay away from classes without permission. a mature student, a student who is older than average and who has usually returned to education after a period at work. Bachelor's degree, an undergraduate course which usually lasts 3 to 4 years. To take a year out, to spend a year working or traveling before starting university. To work your way through university. To have a paid job whilst studying to support yourself financially. To sit an exam. To take an exam. Higher education. Education, usually in a college or university, that is followed after high school or secondary school. A graduation ceremony, an event where a successful student receives his or her academic degree. Master's degree, a period of study which often follows the completion of a bachelor's degree or is undertaken by someone regarded as capable of a higher level academic course. Distance learning, a way of studying where tuition is carried out over the internet or by post. Subject specialist, a teacher who has a great deal of knowledge about the subject they teach. To give feedback, to offer guidance on a student's work. Tuition fees, the money paid for a course of study. To fall behind with your studies, to progress less quickly than others. Face-to-face classes, as opposed to distance learning, the traditional way of studying in a classroom with colleagues and a teacher. Private schools, exclusive independent schools in the UK. Boarding school, a school where pupils live during term time. Lesson 7. Work vocabulary. What do you do? I do a job share with a friend in a boutique. I enjoy it. I like working with customers. Unfortunately, it's only temporary work, but one of the perks of the job is I get a discount on the clothes. Do you have any career plans yet? Yes, I'd like to be my own boss one day. I'm interested in programming, and I'd like to create apps for myself or for other companies. I know being self-employed would be a challenge, but the idea of doing a 9-to-5 job doesn't appeal to me at all. What do you see yourself doing in 10 years' time? I'd hope to be working, not a high-powered job, but I'm quite a creative person, so something where I can work with my hands would be nice. As long as I'm not stuck behind a desk doing something boring in a dead-end job, I'll be happy. I've always loved watching wildlife programs on TV and often thought how much I'd enjoy working with animals, perhaps in a safari park, something like that. You'd probably need a degree to have any chance of being called for an interview, and whether there are many full-time jobs, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of parks rely on voluntary work, so it might not be easy, and it probably wouldn't be well paid either, but money isn't everything. I'd get so much job satisfaction. I can't imagine it being the kind of job where you get stuck in a rut. And I think I'd be good at it as well. I'd love to work with animals. I enjoy manual work, and I'm a good team player. So even though the working conditions might not be the best, I think that would be my ideal job. If there are a limited number of jobs available, who should be given priority? Young people or older people with more experience? Things are so different these days. A few years ago, older employees would often take early retirement or go on to part-time contracts, and there were always opportunities for younger people. But now jobs are so scarce. I think younger people need to be given the chance whenever possible. What are some of the important things a candidate should find out before accepting a job? Well, you'd need to know about your area of responsibility and your salary, of course. And then there are things like holiday entitlement, maternity or paternity leave, if you're thinking of having children, and what the situation is regarding sick leave, that kind of thing. What are the advantages of having your own business rather than working for someone else? Well, unfortunately, being an employee at the moment is very stressful. People have very heavy workloads. They're always under pressure to meet deadlines. Running your own business isn't easy, but I do think it would be far more satisfying. To do a job share. To share the weekly hours of work with another person. Temporary work. Work done for a limited time only. One of the perks of the job. An extra benefit you get from a job. To be your own boss. To have your own business. To be self-employed. See, to be your own boss. A 9-to-5 job. A normal job that consists of an 8-hour day, approximately. A high-powered job. An important or powerful job. To work with your hands. To do manual work. To be stuck behind a desk. To be unhappy in an office job. A dead-end job. A job with no promotional opportunities. To be called for an interview. To be invited to attend an interview. Full-time. The number of hours that people usually work in a complete week. Voluntary work. To work without pay. To be well paid. To earn a good salary. To be or get stuck in a rut. To be in a boring job that is hard to leave. Manual work. Work that requires physical activity. A good team player. Somebody who can work well with other people. Working conditions. The hours, salary, and other entitlements that come with the job. To take early retirement. To retire early. Retire. To reach an age when you are allowed to stop working for a living. Part-time. Working less than full-time. Holiday entitlement. The number of holiday days allowed. Maternity leave. Time off work given to a woman about to have a baby. Sick leave. Time allowed off work when sick. A heavy workload. To have a lot of work to do. To meet a deadline. To finish a job by an agreed time. To run your own business. See, to be your own boss. Lesson 9. Books and Films Vocabulary. Do you like to read books? Yes, I love reading. I like nothing more than to be engrossed in a good book. I regularly take out books from the library and usually read them from cover to cover in no time. And I can't go to sleep at night without some good bedtime reading. How often do you go to the cinema? Unfortunately, we don't have a cinema near us, so we have to go into the nearest town to catch the latest movie. I usually avoid seeing popular box office hits, which I'm not always keen on seeing. I prefer low-budget films, sci-fi especially, and there's a great cinema I go to that has frequent showings of films like these. Do you prefer reading books or watching films? I'm not really a big reader. I find books quite heavy-going, so I much prefer to see a film. Perhaps it's the special effects or the soundtrack. I don't know. I just prefer a film. I like reading, especially English novels. It's a great way to improve your vocabulary, and there are so many fantastic authors to choose from. One book that came highly recommended by my teacher was The Mayor of Casterbridge. I was studying at a school in the UK at the time, and she said it would give me a picture of what life was like years ago in the area I was living. Well, I have to say I absolutely loved it. It was a real page-turner. It's a historical novel, and the setting was a fictional town called Casterbridge, but actually it was based on a town near where I was studying called Dorchester. It had such a great plot. To cut a long story short, it tells the story of the downfall of a man called Henchard, the central character who lives during a period of great social change, around the time of the Industrial Revolution. The reason I enjoyed it so much, apart from the great story, it gave me a picture of what life had been like in the place I was studying at the time. I really couldn't put it down. A fantastic story. Is reading as pleasurable in digital format? Personally, I prefer reading a paperback or hardback, especially if I'm reading a classic, which I don't think feels right as an ebook. But I can see it can be good for others. My grandmother has an e-reader and she loves the way you can enlarge the text. Do you think bookshops will survive the digital revolution? I think so. At least I hope so. I love flicking through books in a bookshop. Online shopping is useful. Finding out on Amazon if a book you want has got a good review. Maybe getting one that is difficult to find, but I still love the experience of being in a bookshop. Statistics show that visits to the cinema are up despite the availability of DVDs and online downloads. Why do you think this might be? I think it's the whole experience that the cinema offers. Going out to see a film when it goes on general release and seeing it on the big screen is more exciting than watching the film at home on TV, especially if it's an action movie, and watching it with others makes it even more special. To be engrossed in. To be completely focused on one thing. To take out a book from the library. To borrow a book from the library. To read something from cover to cover. To read a book from the first page to the last. Bedtime reading. Something to read in bed before you go to sleep. To catch the latest movie. To see a film that has just come out. A box office hit. A financially successful film. A low-budget film. A film made with a small amount of money. Sci-fi, science fiction. Showings, performances of a film. To be a big reader, someone who reads a lot. To be heavy-going, difficult to read. Special effects, the visuals or sounds that are added to a film which are difficult to produce naturally. Soundtrack, the music that accompanies a film. To come highly recommended, to be praised by another person. A page turner, a book that you want to keep reading. A historical novel, a story set in the past. The setting, where the action takes place. To be based on, to use as a model. Plot, the main events in a film or book. To tell the story of, to outline the details of someone's life or an event. The central character, the main person in a film or book. Couldn't put it down, wasn't able to stop reading a book. Paperback, a book with a flexible cover. Hardback, a book with a rigid cover. A classic of the highest quality. An e-book, a digital book. An e-reader, a device for reading e-books. To flick through, to look quickly through a book. To get a good or bad review. To receive positive or negative feedback. To see a film. To see a film at the cinema. See, watch a film below. To go on general release, when a film can be seen by the general public. On the big screen. At the cinema. To watch a film. To watch a film on TV. See, to see a film above. An action movie. A film with fast-moving scenes, often containing violence.